Factoring trinomials by
Taylor Young and
Gabriel Vasquez.
FOILing stands for first term, outer term, inner term, and last term. In our sample equation, 3 plus x plus 3 multiplied by the quantity of x plus 4, our first term would be x times x, which would equal x squared. Our outer term would be x times 4, which would equal 4x, because x times 4 equals 4x. Our inner term would be 3 times x, which would be 3x, and our last term would be 3 times 4, which would be 12. So you have to add your like terms, and you would get x squared plus 7x plus 12.
Let's start factoring steps. Step 1. You have two parentheses, and that's not hard to do. So you will factor one expression into two expressions.
Step 2. Next, you have to know that a variable squared is a variable times by itself. You place each variable in the first space of each parentheses. If you follow using your first term, you should get a variable times by itself, or in this case, x squared.
Step 3. First, ignore the variable on your first digit. Now you have to find your two digits. Your first number will be the sum of two numbers, but also have to be multiplied to equal the second number of the expression. Finding numerals. Okay. In our example problem, there it's t squared. So you need your parentheses, and the base would be t. Okay, now you have to find what's the factor of 42, but can also be added to 13. Okay, so what goes into 42? 6, 7.
That's it.
Okay, when added, does it equal 13? Yes, it does. So we will place it in our answer. 6 and 7.
Steps continued again. Step 4. Step 4. Finding the signs. You have the example equation, t squared minus 13t plus 42. And we know the first part is 7 and 6. But now we have to find the signs. So now you have to say 7 and 6 have to be multiplied to equal a positive 42. So you can have a positive and a positive, or a negative and a negative. But since they have to be equal to negative 13, they both have to be negative. And there's your answer. T minus 7 multiplied by the quantity of t minus 6. Now in your equation, if you have a positive and a positive, you get in your answer a positive in one parenthesis and a positive in the other. Now if you have a negative and positive in your expression, you would get a negative and a negative, just like in our example equation. Now if you have a negative and a negative, or a positive and a negative, you would have to have a positive or negative multiplied by a negative or positive. Okay, so let's solve some equations. Okay, so you have your parentheses, and your base would be x squared. So x times x using your first term. Now you have to find factors of 12, but have to equal up to 7. So you have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 4 and 3. 1 plus 12 equals 13, so that's not going to work. 6 plus 2 equals 8, so that's not going to work. And look, 4 plus 3 equals 7.
Yay!
Woo! You go, Taylor! So you have to place your digits, and since it's a negative and a positive, you would have a negative negative.
Okay, in our equation, we have our parentheses. Alright, and the base is n. So we have our n. Okay, now we have to find something. The factor of 9, but when added together equals 6. Okay, there's 3 times 3,
And
9 times 1, and
but 9 times 1 does not equal 6. Oh,
and
plus 1.
and 3 plus 3 equals 6. Okay, so we plug it in, and since it's a positive and a positive, our sign will be a positive.
And a positive. Excuse our teacher, we are having a little bit of technical difficulties. So, for our last equation, you have to have your two parentheses like always. You have Q. Now you have to find multiples of 4 equal up to 3, which is 1 and 4, and 2 and 2. 2 plus 2 equals 4. But look, you have the minus, so you already know that's minus. That's 1 and 4. Since they're both minus, it will be so you have negative 4, but when multiplied by Q equals negative 4 Q, and you have to try to equal negative 3Q. So therefore, 1 has to be a positive. Because when you multiply 1 times Q, and you add it to negative 4Q, you get negative 3Q. Thank you.
Thank you.